Welcome to the Elements of Success podcast with Johnny Dawson. This is the show that will inspire you to uncover your formula for success so you take charge of your story, overcome life's obstacles, and find fulfillment in all branches of life. With Johnny as your guide, you will break down the science of success and experiment with how you can combine key elements to uncover discipline you need to accelerate your journey towards prosperity. Now, on to today's episode.
Welcome to the Elements of Success podcast, where we will explore specific traits that break down barriers between you and success. Today, we're joined with my co-host, Eric Johnson. Eric, how are you today, man?
Johnny, I'm doing fantastic. How are you?
Doing well. It's a new year, and January's already off and running, and all of the boys' sports are every day now, so we're back in the thick of it.
That's right. Is it coffee flowing or Red Bull or what's keeping you going?
Oh, both. Usually my days consist of Bora does a great job of buying Red Bull from Costco, and so we usually have a fridge full of Red Bull. Typically, I grab one of those on the drive to the office, and then as soon as I get in the office, I make an 8-ounce cup of coffee, and that's how I get my day started.
There you go. Yeah, I'll tell you one of my
favorite things. You got to wake up at some point.
Absolutely. I've got not promoting any certain companies, but Amazon, I have a subscription to Rain. And so they deliver it to my door every 2 weeks, about a 12-pack of Rain, and I love that stuff. So yeah, it's very convenient.
I haven't even tried that one yet. I got to try that.
Yeah, definitely. Rain Red Dragon. It's like a fruit punch.
Is that the one? Is that the guy? It's got like a Spartan head or a helmet or something on the can.
Yeah, kind of. Each one's a little bit different design, but yeah, that's that helmet-looking one. Yeah, it's good.
I thought so.
Yeah,
nice.
Yeah.
Well, today on Elements of Success, we're going to really discuss a trait that I believe is one of the key elements of generating any sort of success with either business or fitness or whatever goal you may have. And I think that looking back in history, anyone that has created success has obviously held this trait. And the trait is initiative, right? Mm-hmm. I try to teach our boys what initiative means, taking the trash out without being told what to do. Not only that, clean your room without being told to clean it. And so that kind of falls in line with the definition of initiative, which is the ability to assess and initiate things independently, right? I strongly believe that whether, like I said, like a business, fitness, spiritual, health-based, or even a relationship, you have to initiate things at some point. You have to take that first step off the ledge, and that first step is initiative. It's doing something independently to start a journey or a path towards something greater than yourself. We could look at Elon Musk, Albert Einstein, Nikola Tesla. They all took some initiative in the discovery and implications or the implementation of what they set out to try to accomplish. Elon took the initiative to create Tesla, which is now, one of the most famous self-driving electric vehicles on the planet. And at some point, they made this decision to start working on these inventions that would basically carry their name through history books. I mean, outside of those, what other, Eric, I'll propose this question to you at first here. I mean, who sticks out in your mind of creating something that's really a big initiative, or how do you relate that term initiative in your own vocabulary and how you see your daily activities?
I think the word that I associate with initiative most often is bravery. I think that's, you talked about stepping off that ledge. Somebody we actually celebrated not too long ago, Martin Luther King, right?
Right.
The initiative that he took in his daily life is something to be admired and revered and really studied, because the bravery that is associated with the movement and the things that he accomplished are huge.
Yeah.
You mentioned Albert Einstein, Elon Musk, Nikola Tesla, all huge names. There's so many that we could name right now, and each one of them have that trait of they had to have the bravery to step out of themselves, step out of their past maybe, step out of the doubts that they had, to take that initiative and do something great.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like a lot of times initiative, when we think of it in our own personal lives, there's always an excuse or fear, something, right? That we don't necessarily, something always holds us back in our minds to not allow us to kind of break out and get to that stage of bravery and overcoming that fear. There's another individual that I think is a good example of initiative too, and this name may sound unfamiliar to a lot of people. In fact, this particular gentleman has been deemed as accomplishing the Everest of athletic achievement, and his name's Roger Bannister. Roger is a British native who broke the 4-minute mile barrier in 1954 for the first time on record. This was to break a 4-minute mile, this was a feat that was once thought to be impossible for the human body to even accomplish. That at that speed of running, it was physically impossible, that we weren't built to run a mile under 4 minutes. In fact, for thousands of years, the human race tried to break that barrier, but was never successful. And the reason why I thought of this is, going back in the Marine Corps and even now, there's a lot of people that just hate running. Like, running is one of those things where you've got to have a real passion to be a true marathon cross-country runner for any long-distance situation. There is some fortitude, some bravery, some just mental stress that happens to you when you're running. To run at a 4-minute mile, I remember in the Marine Corps, my best 3-minute, so what you had to do was you had to run a physical fitness test. And the physical fitness test in the Marine Corps was 3 miles, right? So my best time ever that I had in the Marine Corps was 18 minutes and 30 seconds was the best time I ever had in the Marine Corps in a 3-mile run. And to me, I felt like I was sprinting. But if you do the math, that's about a 6-minute mile. So I couldn't imagine running 2 minutes faster than what my best time on record in the Marine Corps would have been. And Roger accomplished that. Really, he took the initiative to set his mind to something that he started to believe was possible. At some point, he had to decide, I'm going to accomplish this, hell or high water, it's going to get done. To have that initiative, just to create the mindset and to visually see yourself doing it and breaking this record, kind of playing a highlight reel, if you would, that's what he set out to accomplish. What I think is phenomenal with this is, because he took the initiative, others took the initiative. I think that's what's really astonishing about this story of Roger Bannister, the British native who broke this record. What he accomplished, others started to accomplish. Going back to the start of this episode, Eric, when you reference Dr. Martin Luther King, isn't that kind of what he did as well? Because
Absolutely.
He accomplished the movement for equality and took that bravery. Now other people have taken that movement over the past several decades. That's the initiative that can set the tone, not only for an individual success, but the success of an entire generation or entire race as well. To get back on the topic of Roger Bannister here, within the same year that Roger broke the barrier of a 4-minute mile, within the same year, 1954, 37 other people broke the same record within the same year after he did it.
Yeah.
So this is a record that hasn't been accomplished in thousands of years. And here we now have 38 people in 1954 that accomplished this goal. If you go 1 year later, 300 individuals broke that same record the following year. What it has led to is, since 1954, there's been a total of 1,400 runners that have broken the record, and it is now, the 4-minute mile is now the standard for professional middle distance running. Like, that's now the standard. Like, if you can run a 4-minute mile, you're doing pretty good.
Hey, I'm right there with them, except for I'm on a bike.
Yeah.
I can do a 4-minute
Exactly.
mile on a bicycle, but not running, man. That's insane to me. I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
I couldn't agree more. I think, to be able to set out and say, I'm gonna run a mile in 4 minutes is to even tell myself that mentally.
yeah. I don't know, and maybe you know this. Do you know who holds the record right now?
I do. I believe it is. I think it's a guy from Africa. I think
It
he's
is, yeah.
Ethiopian. Yeah, right. I can't pronounce his name.
Yeah.
But I think it's at 17 seconds faster than 4 minute. Than the 4 minute. I think
Yeah,
it's set under 17 seconds or something like that,
Yeah,
right?
it's crazy fast, and I can't remember his name either. I know that it's something that was definitely difficult for me to pronounce to begin with. What an amazing man he is, and to see what he has accomplished as well. I want to take it back to another I word, right? All these people that you're talking about, they brought inspiration to individuals. So obviously Roger brought inspiration to other people who then said, okay, now that somebody has done it, now that I've seen somebody do it, I think I can do it, right? And so now all of a sudden, you said, I think 37 people that same year did that. I don't know if you've seen the video, but there was actually, I think it was set up in New York most likely, but there was a treadmill, a giant treadmill that was set to the speed that he broke the 4-minute mile on. Not Roger, but the gentleman that holds the record right now. They had a treadmill set up at that speed and allowed people to run on it to see how long they could actually do it. And exactly what you were saying, it looked like every one of them were sprinting as fast as they possibly could. And what happened with about 50% of them is they got shot off the end of the treadmill. It's hilarious because they couldn't keep up with the speed that the treadmill was moving. And that guy held that speed for a mile, and people couldn't do it. I know I wouldn't be able to last on that treadmill for more than probably 10 or 15 seconds. I'd be at the end of it on the floor just like everybody else was, but it's amazing to see.
Absolutely. Yeah, I know. And I know the video you're talking about, and it is pretty hilarious to watch some people try to, and that's, if you think about that though, he kept that pace for a mile, right? Yeah. And when it comes to, you could relate that to business building too, in a way that sometimes we start off really fast. We're in a sprint. To maintain that sprint for a long duration of time, we can't do it, and the treadmill just throws us off, and then we quit, and then we go on and do something else. This is a guy that kept the pace and really broke the record. And to follow up on who currently holds the record, I have it. Are you ready?
Yes, please.
It's a gentleman from Morocco holds the record. His name's Hicham El Gorjo, I think. The last name I probably just really messed up. But he ran a time of 3 minutes and 43 seconds in Rome in 1999, and that's currently the current mile record via the Google machine. So
okay, so you know what? The gentleman that I was thinking of earlier that I got confused with, he's the fastest marathon runner. The one from Ethiopia.
Oh, okay, yeah.
He's the fastest marathon runner, and that was the pace that he had to keep. Same thing. But it's the same concept, right? You're talking about keeping up this pace for a mile. And whether it's a mile or a marathon, which you were just talking about business is a marathon. It takes us right back to a previous podcast that you recorded, and I believe that was with your lovely wife, perseverance, right?
Yeah.
That was the theme for that podcast. She had perseverance through everything that she went through. And if you have not heard that podcast, please go back and listen to that. It is amazing. It is an amazing story of success in a big way. And that's what the elements of success is all about. But I don't want to derail this podcast, but all of these things that Johnny's talking about, they fit so well together because these are all the elements that he speaks of. And this, the inspiration that is brought by these folks that are continually striving and achieving and able to keep up that pace for that long is amazing. And you've had a tremendous amount of success in business and your previous career as a Marine because of the same thing. You had to persevere through things. You had to take initiative in all the things that you do and step off that ledge.
Yeah. It's funny. Kind of side note. You might have seen this on social media. It might have been circulated. I've seen memes about it already, but I noticed that someone had posted pictures of the National Guardsmen that they got kicked out of the Capitol building, and now they're, staying in a parking garage in D.C. and it's cold, and someone said there's only one outlet. They feel like they're being mistreated. And I kind of laugh because I'm like, where was this country while we were all over, sleeping in the desert in Iraq? And that, you want to talk about living conditions.
Yeah.
There's 0 outlets over there. So I kind of laughed at some of the memes circulating today. Really, how I came to this idea of initiative was in Marine Corps boot camp. That was at Parris Island. That was one of the things that a lot of the drill instructors instilled into us as young Marines was you have to create some sort of initiative. And at war, if you don't have initiative within you, a lot of times I always repeat this phrase of paralysis by fear. If you don't have initiative, there's some serious paralysis by fear if you don't have the initiative to act independently with doing what you know is right. And to kind of relay it back, Roger Bannister really was the epitome of that back in 1954 when he decided, I'm going to act independently, I'm going to train harder than I've ever trained, and this is a goal that I'm going to accomplish. If you're looking at your business or your situation, I believe today's really no different. We see people achieving our dreams and goals on a daily basis. And social media puts it right out in front of you. People do not hold back if they've done something that most haven't, or if they're successful. They really put that out for the world to see. And so barriers are getting broken down every single day. What you have to do is you have to break down the barrier in your own mind by taking that initiative and creating that highlight reel just to see yourself in that position and achieving those goals. Mainly, I think we try to create excuses on why we shouldn't start a business or a fitness journey or a relationship or whatever it may be. We tell ourselves that we can begin later, or this is a common theme, I'll start when the time is right. But really, what you're missing is the element of initiative. You're missing the ability to initiate things independently without creating that excuse of why you shouldn't do it. My hope and care is that those that are listening, maybe there is something that you should be doing, that you've wanted to initiate something in your life. You keep saying that 2021's a year. This might be a good time frame to hear this podcast because most New Year's resolutions are given up by this point, by the third week of January. So what did you try to initiate in early January that maybe you've already given up? And my challenge to you would be why? Why have you given up on that already when you started the initiation? That's the hardest part, is getting started. Just getting yourself out of your comfort zone and like what you said earlier, Eric, synopsis to bravery, paralleling bravery to getting out of your comfort zone is key with you acting independently on anything. Would you agree?
No, absolutely. I agree 100%. And I want to go back to Roger's story because something held people back for thousands of years, like you said, right? Then he decided to work extra hard. I mean, I'm not going to say that he worked any harder than the people before him, but I would have to guess that he probably did to get that time under 4 minutes. And the thing that I find most fascinating, you said, how many people broke it within that year. How long did that record last? I mean, it lasted for thousands of years till he broke it. And then when he broke it, it only lasted 46 days. Did you know that? 46 days. And I wonder what he thought about that. 46 days later, he sees it on the news. Somebody broke his record. Do you think he was happy about that? Or do you think that was something he's like, doggone it all? I just broke that record. Now somebody else broke mine. I mean, but I don't know his mindset. Unfortunately, he passed away a couple of years ago. It would be really interesting to know what he thought. And I have not read anything about him as far as a biography or if there was a book. But I think I'm going to do a little bit of research because I'd like to know what his mindset was and how he felt about inspiring so many people to do something that people thought could not be done. They thought it was not humanly possible, like you said at the beginning of this. And I think that that's what holds us back in business. I know that when I started my company, I had a couple people tell me that it was a really bad idea, that it's not a good time to start a business. I had an uncle, God bless him, for whatever reason. I was really looking for some support from him because he was a major player in business for years and years and years, very successful. And one of the first things he said is, starting a business is too hard. I thought, are you kidding me? That's not what I need to hear right now. But you have to be able to block those things out sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. And the guy that broke Roger's record, his name was Landy. You're right. It was 46 days later, and it was by a time of 3 minutes 57.9 seconds. So we're talking hundreds of seconds difference between Roger and Landy's record. But here's why I want you to kind of understand from this. If you Google 4-minute mile record, Landy isn't the first guy that pops up. Roger Bannister is the one that broke down that barrier, and he's always remembered for that. In fact, Roger, he's gone to the Olympics and lit the fire and the torch and been all around the world just because of the achievement he had. Landy accomplished that same feat, but it was Roger who set the tone for that feat, and that's why he's always remembered. It's good that you're able to replicate, once someone breaks down a barrier, replicate what they did or use that as an inspiration for your own life, for your own achievements. But I would ask, what barriers have not been broken down that maybe you can break down? Because that's who really gets remembered, is the ones that accomplish that for the first time and then move beyond into this phase of growth and trajectory after that barrier's been broken down. I'm glad you brought that up, Eric, because that's a great point, that it only lasted 46 days. I'm assuming he probably had some very reserved words about the record being broken, and I'm assuming he probably went after it several times more after that too.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to find out. I find it very interesting that after his career in running, he became a neurologist. And I mean, you think about somebody who sets records like that. I don't know if I'd expect anything less than more greatness from their life. So obviously went on to a wonderful career teaching at colleges as well. Just an amazing story altogether. And again, a wonderful reminder of the fact that the entire world could say something's impossible. But if you put your mind to it and you work hard enough and you go out to change that mindset, you can change the minds of an entire planet, which is one of the few things, or one of the few times I think that somebody has done that, is Roger did that, right? I mean, that's right. It's strange to me that scientists even at the time said, no, it's not possible for a human body to go that fast. And he said, yes, it is.
It's amazing. Yeah. It truly is an amazing story. And our listeners, if you're not familiar with the story, there's several YouTube videos and the like that goes through his biography and explains what he accomplished, because it was not an easy feat at that time, and it really set a precedence of achieving your goals from that point forward.
Yeah, and I'm gonna make one more note on this. I hope you don't mind. So that was what year was that? 1954 or 1953, something like that.
Correct. Yeah, 54.
Somewhere in there. 54. I think about the technology from 1954 to now. I mean, we're talking what, 70 years, close to 70 years, 65 years, somewhere around there. That is I mean, think of just the shoes. Think of the the little braces and things, the little patches and things that a lot of runners wear now that help them. There's so many different things. The lighter clothing, for crying out loud. I mean, I know it doesn't seem like it would make a big difference, but I'm sure it does. I'm not a runner. Again, I will say that openly. I am not a runner. The last time I ran was for an ice cream truck. So there's a big difference between me and Roger. But the technology that has come out, and I think that that's something that a lot of people don't think about when they try to think about their own goals, is they kind of liken back to other people that maybe they know that have failed in the past, or other areas of things that have been developed that they can do now, and they don't realize that they have all the advantages over somebody who tried it 10 years ago or 20 years ago or 70 years ago, right? I think that there's just so much to be said for innovation, as another I word to add to this podcast, innovation of what's being done.
Yeah, absolutely. And going into our next episode here, we're going to talk about that after you've taken that initiative and you've started that journey, whether it's a business or whatever your goal may be, just being a better person, maybe, going down personal development road or that journey. We're going to talk about once you go down that road, how do you start to build support systems around you to carry you forward and to get you to the next level. So make sure you tune in to the next episode as well. Eric, any final thoughts from there?
Well, I'll tell you what. No, I think you said it perfectly. I'm looking forward to that next podcast. We'll be back together again. A lot to talk about, and I hope that our audience is getting a lot out of this. Johnny, thank you so much for bringing this to our attention.
Absolutely. Glad to do it, and thanks to the listener for joining us today.
Absolutely. Again, thank you for listening to the Elements of Success podcast with Johnny Dawson. If you have not subscribed to the podcast yet, please click the subscribe now button below. This way, when Johnny comes out with a new podcast, it'll show up directly on your listening device. This makes it much easier to share these podcasts with your friends and family. Again, thanks for listening today. For everyone at the Elements of Success, this is Eric Johnson asking you this. What's holding you back? What do you need to get rid of, or what do you need to adopt that'll allow you to take the initiative to find the greatness in your life? Think about that until our next podcast, would you? We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you for listening to the Elements of Success podcast. If you have not subscribed to the podcast, please click the subscribe button below. If you know anyone who would benefit from listening to this podcast, click the share button.